Hello, Matthew Williams here with another episode of Apple Sucks. And we have got the Cassie sticking her head through here because she wants to have some treaties. Yum, yum, yum. Yes, the treat monster has returned. She came upstairs all on her own. Mostly because I got the tumble dryer on and it caused a lot of noise. And she doesn't like that sort of thing, so she had to come back in. Come in the room. So no doubt she will harass because when I talk she thinks I'm talking to her, so she will howl during the recording of this. But anyway, I just wanted to bring you some updates on Apple. Today somebody sent me, and this is Mr. Quested, so thanks Mr. Quested for sending this through, this story here about Apple suffers the worst share price fall in 4 years. And here's the actual story here. It's on Yahoo Finance UK and Ireland if you're interested in going to have a look. But it says that Apple suffers the worst share price fall in 4 years as 35 billion is wiped off the tech giant. Is this the beginning of the end for Apple? As evidence it is slipping behind on all fronts begins to mount, its stock prices collapse. And then the story goes on to say Apple Nasdaq AAPL News suffered its worst one-day share price fall in almost 4 years on when was it? On Wednesday, and this is quite a new story actually. So on fears it was losing market share to rivals and disappointment over the lack of a special dividend, the maker of the iPhone and iPad saw its shares fall to 6.4 PC to £538.79. I hate all this bollocks because it just gets technical now. All I care about is this motherfucker over here showing that it's dropped. And this up here, which I thought was kind of funny, which is showing an Apple for iPhone, and this is a Galaxy Samsung showing the share drop. And, so Apple are losing out. Their stuff isn't doing so well. And, you can't lie with stock exchanges, can you? I mean, the figures are there for all to see. Now then, the response to this was Apple CEO Tim Cook then pledges to shift production to the USA of some Macs. And you know that Apple must be fucking desperate and struggling if they turn around and go, oh, you know what? Hey, sorry about fucking with you with the Google Maps and Apple Maps thing, and basically putting the lightning connector on there and making you pay ridiculous amounts of money for that connector, and we know you hate us now. We know it. We kind of getting the message. Please buy our products. Please, we'll even start making them in the US. So just please buy them. So anyway, it's a story in The Guardian, and the story kicks in over here. I'll zoom it in so you can read a little bit better. Tim Cook, the chief of Apple, has promised to shift production of one of its Mac lines, only one of its Mac lines, to the United States from China by next year, and admitted the company, quote, screwed up when it dumped Google Maps for its own in September. Yeah, but even though you've admitted you screwed up, you won't put Google Maps back. The guy is saying, we fucked you up the arse, but we ain't taking the cock out, and you're going to get used to the feeling of our cock up your fucking arse. Some people like that sort of things. I wouldn't know anything about that. Anyway, in his first media interview since taking up the CEO post upon the death of founder Steve Jobs, Cook said Apple was already sourcing more of its parts in the US and would spend $100 million next year to move production of the unspecified computer line from China. He also said the company was working extremely hard to improve the functionality of its Maps feature. Well, he's going to have to try like fucking 7 years hard. Funny, because if you estimate with a calculator, as I will do here now, on a really old-fashioned calculator on screen, but if you, say, pay somebody 20,000, to be a programmer or a worker for Google Maps. They've got some sort of skill level, 20 grand a year. Because I mean, who the fuck's going to work for less than that? And then you times that by the 7,000 employees that Google have, that comes to $140 million or pounds. Because dollars is probably what they're going to pay him. Peanuts. I'd like to think it was pounds, but 140. So let's say 140 million. That's just about the amount of money they're going to spend moving this mythical fucking production line over to the US. That's weird, isn't it? So they're only prepared to spend 140 to move a production line over to the US, and they would have to put that 100 million, and they'd have to put 140 million into getting 7,000 employees working for 7 years to make the Maps thing work as well as Google's. But not going to do it though, I don't think. Anyway, the interviews with Bloomberg Businessweek and NBC's Rock Center with Brian Williams has come as Apple has seen sharp falls in its stock and investors fret about the intensifying competition from rivals such as Samsung. No shit, Sherlock. Maybe it's because they've got a good product. Let's press this button to get a 3D mix. Samsung in the smartphone and tablet markets. There are also concerns about the side effects of the fiscal cliff crisis on capital gains tax, which could make shareholders liable for high payments on shares. Cook's comments are published on the day that a judge in California began hearing post-trial arguments from Samsung and Apple over the case in which a jury awarded Apple $1 billion for patent and design infringements by its South Korean rival. In his NBC interview, Cook noted that the main cost of making a PC or smartphone comes in buying chips, many of which are made in the US. But the issue of where Apple assembles its products has been touchy for Apple. Its Chinese manufacturer partner Foxconn has faced significant criticism over working conditions at its factories, which we covered in a previous Apple Sucks, I believe, and is also one of the things that I put on the front titles, you'll have noticed, Foxconn. So if any of you didn't realize what that, I quit, that like guy hanging, Foxconn. One way you're going to get out of the job in China. He has faced significant criticisms over working conditions at its factories, and some politicians in the United States have criticized Apple for not doing more to support the US economy. No shit, fucking Sherlock. I tell you what, not only do they not fucking support the US economy, they don't want to pay tax, they keep their money fucking offshore, and I believe that's the reason they're not allowed to do something, because they got money offshore. They got so much money off fucking shore that they actually are restricted from what they can actually do in the US at the moment, because they're refusing to fucking pay their taxes. So anyway, quote, "This doesn't mean that Apple will do it ourselves, but we will be working with people and we'll be investing money," Cook told Bloomberg Businessweek. He did not say where in the country the Macs will be made, but it's going to be probably where people are most unemployed and have no fucking money, isn't it? So they can employ them as cheaply as possible, which is what they've been doing in China. So they're not going to fucking change, are they? They're just going to... This is just a public relations exercise, because when Apple get pulled up over the fact that their fucking PCs are not recyclable, i.e. not green, because the fucking things, come with components that you can't pull out and put new stuff in, yeah? So they're not really that green. You're supposed to be green by buying a new one. That's Apple's, fucking green policy, is buy a new one, and then you can throw the old one away to a nice recycling place. But make sure you buy the new one, though. And if you don't make sure you buy the new one, we'll make sure you have to buy the new one, because we'll just change the operating system so that you kind of have to get rid of it. Like yesterday's video with the fucking stupid woman who said, "I need my iTunes and it won't update." Yeah, she couldn't update her fucking iTunes, so she got a new computer because of fucking iTunes. How about you dump fucking iTunes in the fucking bin and go buy an Android device where you can stick your fucking photos and your videos and your fucking MP3s on the device as fucking MP3s. Bingo! Then you don't have to worry about fucking iTunes anymore, and you could stick it on a fucking PC and save money, you stupid bitch. But anyway, we've already gone on with that one. Anyway, back to the points. The new US-made line is likely to represent only a tiny piece of Apple's overall production. iPhones and iPads form the largest part of Apple's business and will continue to be made overseas. On the Maps issue, Cook defended the decision to drop Google Maps in principle, suggesting, here we go, Google blocked the provision of turn-by-turn navigation and voice direction. Really? Oh, okay. I kind of remember everybody talking about it being because Apple refused to allow Google to have its little logo saying Google coming up on the screen when the Maps application was starting. That sounds a lot more like Apple to me. It's like, yeah, we'll have your technology and we want everything and we'll have it for free, but we're not going to give you a credit for it. Fuck you. We ain't fucking telling people where this is fucking made and that it's Google, because then they'll think, oh, Apple, but Google, Apple, but Google, Apple, but Google. And they might think, oh, Google, Google good. Google, Android, maybe I'll buy Android, haha. No, it's got to be Apple. Now, something I didn't mention about this, I'll come back to this interview. Something I didn't mention about this app situation, which is very important, is that Google runs the biggest search engine on the planet, yeah? And the search engine is advertising driven. Now, you don't see the adverts pop up on the side, which is what fools a lot of people, right? Now, you go to some places like MSN and you type a search and there's fucking adverts everywhere. You go to AOL, it's like fucking, you know, you're sitting there fucking trying to have a wank and it's like, you've got an advert pops up in the phone and it's like, you know, you're trying to have a fucking, you know, get one on and, you know, it's like, you know, adverts. Not that I'm an AOL user, but I'm just giving you an example of what might happen whilst you're trying to knock one out. But this is the thing, you know, people that run Android, it gives it away free and the search engine is free and there's no adverts. Come on, folks, don't be fucking stupid. Of course advertising is involved in Google. It's transparent. It's transparent. You pay Google to get your search to come up when people are looking for stuff. And the more you pay, the more yours will jump to the top of the pile. So if I'm selling something and I pay Google $1 million, right, and I'm selling, I don't know, you know, black latex dildos, for example, yeah, and if I'm selling these and somebody types in a search for chocolate chip cookies, of course, you know, they'll get chocolate chip cookies and things like that. But if I pay them $1 million, right, and they type in chocolate chip cookies, there's a good chance they'll get my black dildos will come up in front of searches about the chocolate chip cookies. And that's how Google works. Now, you might think I'm joking here. No, you know, you can actually pay Google to jump yourself up the ratings. That's where they make their money. But the thing is, it's wonderful because it's all transparent. And you don't realize that this is going on in the background. So, of course, you know, it doesn't make people quite so upset about the ad thing because it's hidden. So that's a great, you know, plus in some respects, because at least, you know, it's hidden, because adverts drive me fucking nuts. And I think Google are sensible. They understand this. Adverts drive people fucking nuts. So you don't make it obvious that you're actually pushing certain pages in front of certain other pages. And on the whole, you know, you do get what you want. Here she is. She's down on this side now. Here she is. She's like, give me a treat. Give me treats. Here we go, Em. Here's your treaty. Nom nom. Oh, little baby Cassie. You spat that out. You didn't eat it. Eat it. So anyway, my breath is fucking honking at the moment for some reason. It's probably got something to do with her illness, but yeah. So basically, right, back to the point. That's how Google works. Okay, they sell you advertising space, and what do you think Apple would love to do? They'd love to run a search engine like Google, but they haven't got one. And they know. They're not fucking stupid. They know. They are just light years behind Google. So there's just no point. There's no fucking point. But they thought, well, what we could do, though, is we could maybe get into this fucking apps thing with the maps. And we could maybe, you know, get a little niche in there. And what we can do then is they'll do exactly the same as fucking Google are doing. They're going to create a whole big mapping system, yeah? that has information about where you'd like to eat food and where you'd like to shop and what you'd like to buy and where you'd like to fill up your car and where you'd like to, change your car's oil, And when you type those things in, the Maps program is going to take you there, yeah? And that's what Apple are trying to get into. You will be able to pay Apple to be promoted as being the garage in the local area. So if somebody says, like, take me to the garage, and it'll go, you want to go to this garage. Now, that might be 5 miles down the fucking road, and you might be quite close to another garage, but Apple are getting paid to tell you about the one that's 5 miles down the road, so that's what they'll fucking do. And this is what it's really about. Don't fucking kid yourself, people, right? Fuck Tim Cook and his fucking this is when it's Google is Google. Google tried to fuck us over. That's what it's about, folks. Come on. Fucking wake up. Yeah? Google have got the monopoly. Apple want the monopoly, but they can't take it out of the search engine market, so they're trying to build up the fucking Maps one. Anyway, here we go. Apple CEO claims inferior Android and Windows RT tablets. Consumers don't want confusing Android and Windows RT powered tablets, according to CEO Tim Cook. Tim, how would you know what people like when they're... Whoops, what the fuck? He says that he isn't impressed by cheap Android tablets from the likes of Asus, Samsung and Amazon. Hang on a minute. People are fucking raving about the fucking Amazon fucking Fire HD. They're fucking raving about it. And here is this little twat who's trying to sell his own fucking product, yeah? And he's like, no, people don't want that. They don't want that. They do want it, Tim. And do you know why they want it? Because they fucking fed up of Apple. Because nothing has changed, really has changed. And you've just brought out the iPad 4 and people are already saying, it's like the iPad 3. There's no fucking difference. You're selling us something for much more fucking money, and there's no fucking difference. So, little scumbag, yeah? And he says that, here we fucking... It's done it again! Fucking adverts! Fuck off, adverts! You fucking twat! Look at it! Fuck off! How the fuck do you maneuver up and down a fucking screen without the advert coming in? Twat! Right, okay, I found a way to do it. Okay, right, Apple's iPad is about simplicity. The UI itself has barely changed since 2007, but there's more to it than that, says Cook. Consumers want tablet-optimized applications, and lots of them, and you don't get this on Android or Windows RT. And that's why the usage is so low. Excuse me, you fucking knob, right? People are buying these fucking things in the droves. They're buying Android in the fucking droves. This guy is in complete defiance of the fucking facts. He's like, nobody's buying them. Yeah, nobody's buying them. They're only buying Apple. Yeah, they only buy Apple. There is no Android. There is no, it doesn't exist. Don't even go there. No, there's no fucking way that anyone's going to buy anything apart from fucking Apple. Wanker. What is this guy is this guy related to fucking Jimmy Savile or something? I mean, what the fuck is this guy's problem? It's like, he's thinking like in a completely backward fucking way. Yeah? It's like, hang on, Android has got fucking hundreds of thousands of applications just like the iPad. And the funny thing is, right, that when you buy them, they belong to you. And you can put them on your device yourself without having to go through the fucking iTunes store, yeah? You can actually download them onto a memory stick and stick them in the fucking device, which you can't do on a fucking iPad, yeah? Because it won't take fucking memory sticks, because then you might get around having to, fucking money. Oh, Christ almighty. Anyway, this fucking knob, Tim Cook, yeah? It's like fucking... The only thing I'll give him out of his comment, right, about Okay, Windows RT, right? Yeah, there aren't many applications for that. There probably won't ever be many applications for that because people are going to buy Android. Why the fuck do they want to buy a device that is really not going to be supported by Microsoft as well? Because what will happen is, as Microsoft has done with all its fucking products over the years that are on mobile devices, is it gives you maybe 1 to 2 years of the marketplace, the shop, the store, yeah, where you can look up the fucking apps, yeah. After that, they just close the fucker down because they go, oh, well, we're on Windows 9 now. Ah, no, the Windows 8 store is now redundant. No Windows 8 store. You got a Windows 8 device? Nah, there's no store now. Fuck you, goodbye. And they just cut the store off, yeah. You can still go out and manually download the applications, the apps, and put them on there yourself, but there won't be a fucking app to do it nicely and easily for you, no? Because they will just go to all the people that fucking paid their money for that shit. So I would say do not buy one of these fucking Microsoft devices until there is a cast iron fucking guarantee from Bulmer, right, that he will support the fucking device for something like fucking 10 years, yeah? And keep the fucking store open, yeah, for something like fucking 10 years. Yeah, then the device becomes fucking something that's worth buying. Otherwise, fuck it. You got Steve Jobs, right, saying that he thought 7-inch tablets would fail, yeah, and that he thought that they were a waste of time, yeah, because Apple's own research said that the size of the screen was tested and researched, and the size that they made into the iPad was the ideal size. That's why they made it that size, because it was found to be the ideal size that people could use easily, yeah. And a 7-inch iPad simply wouldn't have done it. So what a fucking Apple go and release? A fucking iPad Mini, 7 inches. After even their fucking guru Steve Jobs has said it's a waste of fucking time, you know. You got mobiles that fit in your pocket. You got fucking iPads that are for home use, yeah, and use on the move. If you need to do something properly, you can use the iPad, yeah. You don't need an intermediate fucking device. But Apple brought one out anyway, right? And Tim Cook was quoted in an article, in another article. I don't know if it's around here I can never get my hands on it. But basically, yeah, he was quoted as saying that the applications on the mobile devices look terrible on the iPad unless they've been optimized for the iPad. So mobile stuff looks shit on the iPad. Plus, now they've brought out the new size 7-inch. It means that everything has to be re-optimized again for the new device. And he said, and he was quoted as saying, and that's why you wouldn't want to buy an Android, because they're all different sizes and the things don't resize. That's exactly why you'd want to buy an Android, because in fact, Tim Cook is yet again giving you a line of fucking bullshit, because Android is the most scalable screen there is, because any fucking program scales up properly to whichever device you're using, right? Fucking iPad doesn't. That's the whole fucking point. So here he is, Tim Cook. iPad can do something it can't, and that's why you wouldn't want to buy an Android, because Android isn't capable of doing something that it fucking actually is. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think Steve Jobs' successor was picked specifically for his fucking ability to sort of, you know, dodge around the fucking facts. Yeah?